Hi, this is Kris Cumnock with the Tom Landry Classic. It's time to talk football again with VYPE DFW. Let's talk players of the week, as we do each week. Start with the 5A level, Defensive Player of the Week. Arlington Martin probably didn't need Myles Garrett against Weatherford this week. They won the game 47-3, but you can't deny the game that he had. It's probably the best defensive game that I've seen in maybe the last 10 years. He had 8.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, and a blocked punt. Now, that's a good season for most kids. Myles Garrett did it in one night. He's going to be a special player at the next level for Arlington Martin when he goes to college. So he's our 5A Defensive Player of the Week. 4A Defensive Player of the Week, Frisco Liberty linebacker Habib Karima. They won a close game over Frisco Heritage 22-18 last week. He had 20 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and a sack for Frisco Liberty High School, and that's a program that's been down for a few years, and they got a big win last week against Heritage, and they needed all of his 20 tackles to do it. Again, won the 22-18. 5A Offensive Player of the Week, Mesquite Horn wide receiver Delmichael High. They won a close one over Rockwall last week, 49-32. He had 9 receptions for 181 yards and 3 touchdowns. Huge week for Mesquite Horn and winning that game, and for Delmichael High was a huge part of that. For 4A Player of the Week, Wiley East wide receiver Jared Wyatt. They beat their crosstown rivals Wiley in a close one, 35-28. And Jared Wyatt had 5 receptions for 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. So those are our players of the week. A couple wide receivers, defensive end, and a linebacker, all having great weeks as we get into the meat of the district schedule. In terms of teams of the week, a couple teams now programs that have been down for a while that are now 5-0. North Mesquite, that's a program that struggled for a number of years, and they're 5-0. They really run the football well. They've got a quarterback in Cody Williams who's getting better every week. 2 rushers over 700 yards, and they're 5-0 for the first time since the 1980s. So congratulations to North Mesquite. They still have Mesquite Horn and Longview ahead on their schedule, so there's still work to do. But they've set themselves up pretty well, and hopefully it's going to be a playoff year for North Mesquite. Another 5-0 team on the 4A level is the Colony. Again, their program's been down for a number of years, and they're really riding the coattails of Brian Hammond, their 1,100-yard rusher. He's a special player. They really don't throw it much, and everybody in the stadium knows he's going to get the football 30-35 times a game, and in every key situation he's going to get the football, and to this point teams have not been able to stop him. Now they won a close one last week over Frisco to stay undefeated and to stay on top in their district along with Frisco Centennial. But they still have a game against Centennial, they still have a game against Prosper, and they still have a game against Wakeland, I believe. So there's work to be done there as well. But to this point, great job so far by the Colony and Rudy Rangel's group over there. They're really having a special season, and you hope for their sake that they can keep it up. One of the questions that I get from people each week at games is, why do high school teams just dink and dunk with the passes each week? And one of the things that teams have done now with the spread offense, or there's 2 plays when you go watch a team that runs a spread offense that you're going to see regardless of who you're watching. And one of them's the zone read, and then one of them's the bubble screen. And the reason that teams run bubble screens, and that's where you've got the wide receiver out, that you just take the snap and you throw it right out to him, and he's either got 1 or 2 receivers on his side blocking, and all you're trying to do is get a playmaker out in space. And so you're leaving a guy unblocked, but you're saying my receiver's got athletic ability and he can make a play here. So a lot of teams that don't have a tremendous quarterback can still get a lot of mileage out of the bubble screen, because all you've got to be able to do is take that snap, catch the snap, throw it out there, and if you've got a receiver or 2 with great athletic ability, then he can make things happen in space and get you 5, 6, 7 yards. That's not a play that's designed to go 80 yards. It can go 80 yards, and we see that happen fairly often, but it's designed to get you 6 or 7, 8 yards, and so you don't have to have a great running game. You don't have to have a great quarterback. As long as you've got a quarterback who can get the ball out on the perimeter there and get it in the hands of his playmaker, you can keep the chains moving. The zone read that you see, that's a play where if you have a tremendous quarterback, then you can really make hay with this, because he's just making a read. I'm keeping the defensive end unblocked, and so the defensive end's coming down hard. You keep the ball and you run around them, and you've got a quarterback that's got some good wheels. You can make a lot of yards there. If the defensive end says, nope, I'm not going to let the quarterback run it, you hand it to the running back up inside, and you've got kind of a little trap action going on inside, and you can make a lot of yards there. So those are two plays that you're going to see any spread offense team run, and if they're scoring points, those are plays that they're successful on. And again, depending on which team's using it, they're probably accentuating something that they have, either a really athletic quarterback or some really athletic receivers. So for VYPE High School Magazine and the Tom Landry Classic, I'm going to sign off, and we'll talk football next week.